Well, Adelaide and Newcastle have shared the points in their A-League clash at Hindmarsh Stadium tonight.
Yeah, and joining us now to talk all about it is Fox Sports commentator Mike Cockrell. And Mike, the last 20 minutes of the game had more action than a Jenna Jameson movie.
That's true. It would certainly fired up. It was a slow burner of a game, and I guess the message is that no harm was done. Of course, both these clubs wanted to make sure they didn't lose today rather than going for the win. They've had two consecutive defeats, both the Jets and the Reds, so it was important it's important, I should say, that they at least got a point out of the game, and that's how it turned out. Just over 10,500 people on a hot night here at Hindmarsh. The players were certainly feeling the effects. A few of them went down with cramp late on. Adelaide were definitely the better side early. You can see here the Brazilian Diego, just 2 minutes gone. Ante rooted to the spot there, desperately hoping that would go past the post, as it did. In the first half, really, it was all Adelaide. It was a very submissive performance from Newcastle. A save made there from Ante Kovic. It was Travis Dodd with a shot from a fair distance, which took an awkward deflection. And really, at this stage of the game, you couldn't see Newcastle getting something out of the game, but they readjusted after half-time. That's credit to the coach, Gary Van Egmond. Likewise, Aurelio Vidmar. A lot of changes made in the second half, finally livened things up. And here's a classic piece of opportunism from Newcastle's top goal scorer, Joel Griffiths. Angelo Costanzo back in defence for the Reds had held these Newcastle attackers pretty well up until this point. Great through ball from Noel Spencer, and Joel Griffiths was the quickest to react, and that was his sixth of the season. The Jets in front of that stage, probably against the run of play. Aurelio Vidmar, as I said, rung the changes, and gee, they worked. It was a different Adelaide side in the last 20 minutes or so, and here they got the reward. Fantastic cross from Richie Alligac, an even better header from Travis Dodd going in off both posts. So Adelaide deservedly back on level terms, and they pushed home strongly towards the end of the game. In the end, they had to settle for a point, but it was an entertaining match in the end. As I said, it started slowly, probably because Newcastle was so conservative. They opened up towards the end, and in the end, that made a much better game of it. Here's a lucky break for Newcastle, particularly Steve Labert, who'd just come off the bench. He was inside the first minute of being on the park. He's made a mistake here, but the referee, Matthew Breeze, has ruled that Paul Agostino has shoved the Jets defender there, and gee, he was the most relieved man in Adelaide, Stephen Labert, after that goal was disallowed. So no goal for Agostino. Of course, the marquee player still looking for his first goal in the Reds' colours, and in the end, Adelaide and Newcastle had to settle for a point apiece. As I said, probably no harm done. Both coaches said they wanted to win, but in the end, I think it was more important they didn't avoid... it was more important they avoided defeat.
Of course, Mike, they're going to be saying that, but it is fairly disappointing for both sides because they are both desperately needing points as the A-League ladder just gets so close.
Well, the status quo remains. I think Adelaide are third, Newcastle are fourth. That was the situation before the game. Of course, Sydney are closing on their heels after that result last night in Wellington, but they haven't gone backwards, I guess. That's the main thing as far as both coaches are concerned. As I said, they did make the changes in the end. They both went for the win in the last 20 minutes or so, but in the end, I guess, honours were even. And after this game, which, as we know, finished 1-1, this is how the ladder looks. And it's still the Mariners who are playing as we speak out in the west against Perth Glory, out in front, 1 point clear of Queensland Roar. Adelaide third on 18 with a better goal difference than the Newcastle Jets. Sydney FC just outside that top four on 17 points. And although it's not panic stations, I guess Melbourne Victory are going to start to worry now. They're just on 15 points, 3 points out of the 4. Wellington with that point last night on 12. And Perth Glory will be hoping that they can win the top versus bottom clash later tonight, or as we speak, I should say, against the Central Coast Mariners. So an entertaining game here in the end. Maybe Adelaide the better side generally, but Newcastle worth a point in the end.
Yeah, Mike, we've got Spencer Pryor in studio a little on the show, a little later on the show, I should say. Now, the Socceroos and the Olyroos were in action last night. I'm going to put this question to Spencer as well. Do you think that the A-League should be going ahead this weekend, or should they have had a rest this round?
Well, look, this is a debate that's been around since the A-League began. It's one that Graham Arnold has pushed very hard. He believes we should have what they call FIFA windows inside the A-League season when there are international games, club games aren't played. That's the story elsewhere around the world. For some reason, the FFA haven't done that. I believe they'll be bringing those windows in next season. But you're right, when you've got a weekend like this with both the Olyroos and the Socceroos involved, that takes a lot of players out of the A-League. I think at one stage earlier this season, we got up to 18 players missing from their various club sides, and that does affect the quality, and we don't like to see it. Also, the crowds tend to be down on these weekends as well. So, you know, the FFA are moving, thankfully, towards that, and probably about time.
Absolutely. Not a moment too soon. Mike, thanks a lot for your thoughts and your time.
My pleasure.
Fox Sports News on Channel 513. It's on all the time.